What kind of people are we?
Attention crew, this is your Captain Caliban speaking. This is a supplemental episode of Enterprising Individuals, where we bring you news and tidbits from the world of Trek, also interviews with special guests, and a few little surprises along the way. Surprises are the currency of big fan conventions like San Diego Comic-Con, which took place last weekend in Fresno? Maybe. I'm not sure where they hold that one, but Star Trek was represented in a big way over the weekend, with Alex Kurtzman and the Star Trek team inviting attendees to enter the Star Trek universe through a trio of panels, which brought volley after volley of amazing revelations about the new season of Star Trek Discovery, the new show Lower Decks, the upcoming short treks, and of course, a brand new trailer and details about the upcoming Star Trek Picard series. And I bring you now those revelations. But it's too much for one podcaster to handle, so I'm once again joined by Mikanhana of the Just Enough Trope podcast, a newswoman and Star Trek fan in her own right. We break down all the Star Trek news from SDCC and provide a few theories of our own as to what we think is coming up. We also have a few other stories from the Trek sphere to share, and we give you a recap of our experiences at this year's Shore Leave Convention. Plus, not one, but two patented incredible celebrity encounter stories. So stick around until the end for that. We're still recovering from a pair of long weekends at cons, so we're kind of punchy, but I think we landed okay in the end. Remember, you can always find us on social media at EISTPod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you'd like to become a crew member of the show, stop by patreon.com/EISTPod. New Patreon episodes are incoming. So much is happening in the new Star Trek universe. It's exciting. It's almost too much, but we're here to break it down for you. So fire up your RAM scoops and get collecting. And with that, let's get underway. What is it with Russians and shooting dogs?
Oh, boy.
Whenever there's a tragedy or there is maybe a momentous event, it seems like the dogs are the first to go.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. And yet, like, they were overrun with dogs when they had the Olympics there not that long ago.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you're in Sochi, some of those dogs, I'll tell you about my great-great-great-grandfather. Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
He was somewhere around Pripyat in 86.
Oh,
Woo!
boy.
Boy, you got to get out of there. Yeah, I've got 3 snouts. What about it? Just like this whole mini-series about like this horrible event.
Yes.
But also, and I think the mini-series Chernobyl that we're talking about captures this, but also just the incredible dogged heroism required of a lot of the people.
Yeah.
Literally hundreds of thousands of people, putting their lives on their line, shortening their lives in order to correct this horrible bureaucratic error.
Yeah.
And they shot dogs. That's all anybody remembers. The fact that
it was really upsetting.
The fact that Barry Keoghan had to go out and shoot some dogs.
I know. It was really sad. And I think there's something to be said too. Like, people get really upset about that, but like, never mind like all the actual people that like died because of this tragedy.
Yeah, right.
What people remember is all those dogs, not like the firefighters that died really quickly and horribly after this experience.
Yeah, it was stark. It was a stark look at a Stark event.
Yeah.
Not a Tony Stark event, though.
No, clearly not.
No, that would be a lot of fireworks and dancing girls is how it goes there. And you know that because you are the co-host of the Just Enough Trope podcast.
Yes.
What happens there? People know. People already know. You've been on the show a couple times. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We're here today to talk about some exciting news from the world of Trek, and that's what you do on Just Enough Trope. You talk about all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment. So stick Trek nerdy entertainment in there.
Right.
And then you're ready for this job.
All right.
You were born to do this.
Sign me up.
And we're going to talk about some of the great announcements from San Diego Comic-Con at the end of this segment. We're going to make you work for it. We're going to make you wait. But we're still talking about the Trek news that's hanging around right now, which is, there is some.
Yes.
You've seen Star Trek the Motion Picture.
I have, yes.
Where would you rate it within the 13 Trek films extant.
Is 1 the best, or was 13 the best? What's the best in this scale?
Sorry. Okay. I forgot how scale-oriented you are. 1 is the best. Into Darkness is the worst.
I actually kind of feel like Motion Picture might be like the worst. Yeah, I really didn't like it.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Okay.
Where can people... Nah, people don't care.
I was bored.
Star Trek The Motionless Picture?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, don't worry, audience. She's got a chance to change your mind. Because Star Trek The Motion Picture is coming back to theaters.
Oh, my goodness.
This September 15th to celebrate the film's 40th anniversary.
Wow.
Yes, that thing that died on the transporter platform, had it lived, it would be 40 now.
Wow.
But it didn't live very long.
No, it didn't.
It's coming back through a Fandango event. Tickets are available on AMC's website.
Okay.
Here's your chance.
Yeah. Maybe I'll like it on the big screen.
To see
I
those
don't know.
visuals, to hear, yes, through THX Sound, that amazing Jerry Goldsmith score.
Yes. I mean, there were some good things about it, I guess.
You put it over Into Darkness.
I don't know. Maybe they're tied.
Over 5. Over Nemesis.
I really remember not liking it very much. I think I've only seen it once, so maybe I need to see it another time to give it a fair shake. But I just really remember being bored and not the female lead in it. What was she like all about? Like, I didn't really like.
She was about not having sex because she's too good at it, and also about being a robot.
Yeah. It was just kind of like, what is this character? What are you trying to say? And yeah, I just felt like the crew didn't really have a whole lot to do. And wasn't it like the only one that like Roddenberry was really heavily involved with?
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Roddenberry was good at the TV and not so much the film. I don't know.
Well, we have a show about that coming up in the future, about Roddenberry's films, or should I say film, a film that kind of like a, I don't know what you'd call it, like a cameo or something like that. I was going to say Hitchcock, but like, I guess his cameos are positive, if not short, but kind of creeping in at the edges of this show has been a little film called Pretty Maids All in a Row, which keeps popping its head up and will be talked about at some point, and maybe too hot for the feed. Maybe that'll show up on our Patreon at patreon.com/EISDpod. But yeah, the only one that he had a lot of connection to, but a lot of people worked on that. Robert Wise worked on that. Yeah, a lot of people worked on that.
All right.
Those two people that I mentioned.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, Cal, where would you rate it?
Well, probably above Into Darkness.
Okay.
It's so hard. I mean, it's not like, they're your babies.
Sure.
In a way.
Yeah.
And I can see the good in Star Trek Nemesis.
Sure.
It doesn't take long to see it. It goes by real fast.
Yeah.
But, with something coming up that we're about to talk about, I think it's more relevant than ever. And you watch. You're going to see the Nemesis apologists start popping up, I think.
Uh-oh.
If they haven't already.
Okay.
I think we're going to get people, Screen Rant, 15 reasons why Star Trek Nemesis isn't so bad.
Yeah.
And 5 reasons why it's even better than First Contact or whatever.
Right.
I'd put it in the middle, probably.
Okay.
I have a lot more patience for the kind of sci-fi that it's delivering. It came out after Star Wars. It was made because
of Star Wars.
Paramount was like, we got to get on this. But they delivered sci-fi that was pre-Star Wars threshold.
Sure.
Once that ship flies overhead, that's pretty much sci-fi now.
Mm-hmm.
So, for something of the previous era, I think it's fine. It's an interesting story. There's some good performances in it. There's that guy from Seventh Heaven that we don't talk about anymore.
Right.
But he did an okay job, and I thought Persis Khambato, had a horrible task to play a robot lady, but she did it fine. And there's some great Spock and McCoy moments, also development in their characters.
Mm-hmm.
the whole arc, and I've talked about this somewhere else, who knows, exhausted, couldn't remember, but about how it was at a panel. Every Star Trek movie is about, well, we're too old to do this.
Yes.
Only maybe we're not. And that starts in this one. Like, it's already there.
Fair.
So you can't blame anybody else. It started with that film.
You reminded me, just talking about it, it does have one of my favorite Trek film moments in it. When they are approaching the Enterprise, and I believe it's Kirk and Scotty, and they look at each other, and they look at the ship, and they look back at each other, and they nod, and they do that a couple of times.
It's like 6.5 minutes. It's not that bad.
It's so long for a sequence like this, but it's so funny to me.
If a minute of a movie script is a page, then what does it say on those 6 pages?
Right. I know.
Dot, 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 dot,
Were they ad-libbing?
Well, yeah, and how many, shots? So we can't show anybody because it's a podcast, but something in more recent memory. If you remember the scene, the unfreezing scene in Austin Powers, where Basil Exposition is with General Who's-in-Toot or whatever, and they're watching all the things that Austin's going through, and it's ridiculous things, and we keep cutting back to Michael York, and he's like smiling, and he turns to the general, he's like, and he's like, nods and just smiles.
Right.
Like, it's that. It's just like 8 shots of them doing that to each other. And what I want to know is, why did Robert Wise capture 8 shots of them doing that?
Yes.
It must have been, they probably did a couple takes, and then a couple for safety. And they're like, oh no, we need every single one of these because Jerry Goldsmith wants his entire score to be played as we go around the beautiful refit USS Enterprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, well, you can catch that on September 15th. Tickets are probably going to go fast for this, don't you think? They're probably almost gone.
I wouldn't be surprised because it's a one-time thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of Star Trek fans who think of it fondly and want to go.
If you'll go watch
screen.
opera for a Fandango event or a Fathom event or whatever, then go watch this.
Yeah,
it's space opera, but like real space opera, not that lightsabery stuff. Speaking of movies, this is only tangentially Star Trek related, but I thought it was funny. Space Jam 2 is in full swing.
Oh boy,
it has been shooting now. If you follow LeBron James on Twitter or on Instagram, he is going ham on showing you little bits, little drips and drabs from the film.
Okay.
Showing little sneak peeks at stuff. You can see some of the updated jerseys. And he's just, the guy, he's good on the court. He's good in cyberspace.
Well, that's a good thing to have for your film.
How this works. Yeah. And so he's been sharing that sort of stuff. And of course, Miss Sonequa Martin Green will be playing his wife in the film.
Right. Which we don't know how big of a role that is.
And my thing is, like, I guess they didn't do this in the first Space Jam either, but, like, Savannah James is a person who can talk and is like a businesswoman. Why not just have her, I don't want to take a role away from Sonequa, but why not have her do it?
Right. I don't know.
Who's going to play his fake kids?
I don't know. Some actors who are going to be like, whoa, it's Bugs Bunny, and just totally like have these big reactions to stuff. And,
I guess that happens in Space Jam.
Yeah,
it's a slam,
exciting,
and a jam.
It's a Space Jam.
That's what it is. So, I think that Sonequa definitely deserves a real movie role. I'm glad that this is high profile. People are going to see her. She's going to kill it. They're going to go, who is that, gorgeous woman? Let's get her in some more roles. But you got to start somewhere. This is where she's starting.
Yeah. I mean, her role on Discovery is pretty high profile as far as.
And it's very cinematic too. I mean, I'm sure she booked that or Space Jam because of that.
I'm sure she did.
And I'm sure she's already working on fielding other offers. But once we get it up there. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a big hit like the first one was?
I kind of think it will be. I think LeBron is really popular, just like Michael Jordan was really popular. And I think there are going to be basketball fans that go out just to see it because of LeBron. LeBron is in it.
Oh, sure.
And there are going to be kids who want to see it because Bugs Bunny. And
interesting note. Does anybody care about the Looney Tunes anymore?
I think that people still care. I think it's still played on like Saturday morning cartoons. Like I would at least.
It's so cute that you think that Saturday morning cartoons still exist.
Don't they in like some form?
Cartoons
I feel like
play
they do
all the time. There's an entire network.
Well, yeah, okay. I just feel like there has to be some like Dish Network out there somewhere or whatever that plays like Looney Tunes and and Tiny Toons. Remember Tiny Toons and like Animaniacs? Yeah, that's more 90s
I hope that's
stuff.
true, but yeah, maybe like on the WB streaming service or whatever. Well, that's Just Enough Trope stuff. Let's talk about more Trek stuff.
All right.
Somewhat related to Sonequa Martin Green, the character that she plays of Michael Burnham and Michael Burnham's mother, played by Sonia Sohn on Star Trek 2, or Star Trek Season 2 of Discovery. She was arrested over the weekend.
What?
On charges of possession of cocaine and marijuana.
You're kidding.
No.
That stinks.
No. Yes.
I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to either. She was in North Carolina, and it was, I'm not sure for what, but she was charged with misdemeanor offenses of marijuana and drug paraphernalia possession.
Well, okay.
Oh, and felony. I guess cocaine would be a felony possession.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, like, marijuana, I feel like we make a bigger deal out of possession of marijuana than we really should in this country. But, okay. Cocaine is kind of, it's a hell of a drug.
Wow. It's not, the views of Mikanhana are not shared by
I'm disappointed because she's such a talented actress. And I really like her a lot. And, it just stinks.
And we don't know anything about this.
Right.
She has not commented through her representatives. She spent about 6 minutes in jail before she, made bail. So we don't know the situation here. We don't know, who she was driving with or whose it was or whatever. So it's, this will be an ongoing thing. She's been working on a documentary about the Baltimore Police Department.
Really?
And their gun trace task force, which was apparently really corrupt. Many of the officers involved in it are facing federal charges for like racketeering and that sort of thing.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, and of course she played Kima Griggs, Baltimore homicide detective in The Wire. So she's been working on that. That sounds good. But yeah, this is, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a bad situation.
It does.
I don't know why we're reporting this story.
Because it's tangentially Star Trek
it's very
related.
tangentially Star Trek related.
Yeah.
I'm just trying. Is this a good idea? I'm just trying to delay the cream. You got to eat all your vegetables before you get your dessert. And this is the lima beans.
Yes.
In that food related metaphor.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Quentin Tarantino's been talking about his Star Trek movie.
Yes.
Now, how could one man who has made 8, right?
I think so.
Of the, most lauded modern films of the past 20, 25 years, he's on a tour. He's promoting his new film, which is going to add to that pantheon, to that canon. How could he talk about Star Trek so much? Like, I talk about Star Trek all the time, and I'm like, buddy, you're talking about Star Trek too much.
I think it's because it's Quentin Tarantino, and like he just likes to talk a lot. Like he's a big talker.
Speaking about cocaine being a hell of a drug.
Oh boy.
We can bring that back in.
Oh boy. I don't know. I think he obviously is like a huge fan and he's obviously really excited about this idea and, has worked on the script and the script is supposedly done. And...
Yes. It's being written by Mark L. Smith, who wrote The Revenant. And Tarantino was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast.
Oh boy.
Recently. Yeah. Well, that's a good get. Who else has been on that show?
Yeah, I wonder.
I could get Tarantino.
You think so?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe with his Trek idea, he's fielding lots of calls.
Maybe I could send him a little something.
Oh boy, stop.
A little something. Javier Slice It, the guy's got a lot of energy.
Yes.
He's talking on this podcast about his plans for this thing. So he didn't write the script necessarily, but he's been involved in it.
Okay.
And he says, some of these will be quotes. I guess I won't tell you when I'm quoting, but when I start talking like this, then it's Quentin Tarantino.
All right.
But he says that he doesn't know how much he can say, but it will be dealing with the Chris Pine timeline.
Okay, so Kelvin universe.
So we didn't know that, right? Yeah, before.
No, we did
now
not
we know
know
it's a
that.
Kelvin universe thing. Except he goes on to say in the same interview that he doesn't. Now I am quoting him. I don't quite understand. JJ can't explain it to me, and my editors tried to explain it to me, and I still don't get it. Something happened in the first movie that wiped the slate clean? No, I don't buy that. I don't like that. I don't like that, he says. So the guy says, okay, so you like
I'm
original
confused.
Trek. You
Yeah.
want everything to have happened, right?
Right.
City on the Edge of Forever. You want to make sure all that still happens. And Quentin Tarantino says, yeah, that's what I want. And he says, Benedict Cumberbatch isn't Khan. Khan is Khan. And I told JJ that I didn't like that. And JJ said, ignore it. Nobody likes it. I don't understand. Do whatever you can. You want it to happen the
Wow.
same way? That's the way it happened. So we're learning a lot here.
Yeah.
Assuming he's telling the truth. JJ hates Into Darkness as well.
Apparently.
So you hate yourself, JJ. What's the mystery? You're in the box.
Oh my goodness.
It's your head. 7. So the podcast host comes back. Obviously, I haven't listened to this, but I'm assuming confused. And he says, okay, so what you want is something, that is more like the Trek that you came up with, right? Then Tarantino goes into this long rant about how William Shatner is Star Trek. It's all thanks to him and his
Okay.
Kirk. And even Chris Pine is doing William Shatner's Kirk, which Chris Pine himself has said that he wasn't trying to do William Shatner's Kirk, but
Right.
whatever. He really liked, I guess he saw 2009 and he really liked 2009 and their depiction of the show.
All right.
So he wants to do something along those lines.
Okay. I can see how that is a little confusing because you're saying like the original series is like the only Trek, but then you're saying, but I like 2009.
But he
So-
doesn't seem to get that there's this, and I get it. Like Star Trek fans still don't. I field lots of questions on social media from people who still don't understand that the Pine Trek,
Right.
the Kelvin Trek, is another universe.
Yes.
It we just saw Endgame. I think that explained it pretty well.
Uh-huh.
Because of quantum mechanics and temporal physics, it's a different place. You
Yes.
got to go there. You got to take a trip and get there. You don't live there.
Right.
I think he thinks that it's Pine and Quinto and those guys are just depicting our heroes at an earlier point in time. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like they're recast.
Yeah, I
Which
see.
they are, but
But
they
it's-
kind of aren't because
Right.
this is wibbly wobbly Treky wecky.
and they even
Hashtag.
Yeah, they even say that
Oh no,
in the movie.
All 3 movies make it incredibly clear that is exactly what's going on
Right.
here. But my guess is that he doesn't get that, and so
Okay.
I don't know why he thinks Into Darkness exists at all. Then maybe he just thinks that Benedict Cumberbatch will grow up to be Rubber Peck Trek,
Right.
Khan.
Yeah.
Hashtag Rubber Peck Trek. But anyway, so he just wants to make this 4th movie, and we still don't know what it's going to be, but I think he just thinks it's going to fit in somehow. And clearly Abrams will let him do whatever.
Right. Clearly
'Cause he's
Abrams does not care.
Tarantino.
Right.
How do you think J.J. Abrams compares his body of work to Tarantino's? Do you think he'd put it up against Tarantino? I think he's proud.
I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I bet he is proud. I bet he is.
Abrams?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Um
I'm going to disagree. but go
Oh,
ahead.
you are? Well, I mean, how can you I guess I just think it would be sad if he wasn't proud.
Yeah, it is. It is sad.
Okay. So you think he's not proud?
I do.
Okay.
I do think he is not proud. I think that, taken for all in all, Tarantino puts what he wants to see on the screen.
Oh, absolutely.
He gets
I
it.
completely agree with you.
And,
yeah.
Whether you like it or not, whether you have to remember that I do like Tarantino's films, mostly because of their sense of style. I don't like a lot of the themes and sort of the regressive kind of social politics that you see in his films.
Yes.
But you guys got a lot of style. However, he is just cribbing from older movies.
That's true.
Everything's a remix. That's the culture we live in right now. But I think there are creative, singular creators who bring something new that we haven't seen before. And I won't bore you with a list of those people now, Yorgos Lanthimos. But but he's basically just kind of like doing like a mixtape of, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy mixtape of his favorite songs.
Yeah.
So you could say that that's not, a lot of it isn't very original. Fine, whatever. But he nails it, and he walks away satisfied every time.
Yes.
I think that every single one of J.J. Abrams' movies, he is apologizing for something, or he is rushing to get it done, or it's thrown together, and I'm not going to make some crack about how the lens flares are blinding you to how it's not as well put together as it seems, but I just did, I guess.
Yeah.
Every time he makes a movie, people go, well, it's stylish but kind of empty, and I just combine the detractors and the people who support them as well. It's like, it's really good looking. There's nothing there. And then you'll hear in an interview after it, it's like, well, we wanted to do this, and we were trying to do this, and we kind of hoped that we could do this, but we didn't know. And that's just it every time. You hear about like Force Awakens, like, I got this job, but I had to make it in 6 months. We didn't know what to do, so we decided to do, we'll just do New Hope. And everybody's criticism is, it's just New Hope.
Right.
And it's like, all right, well, yeah, that's what it was. So I just feel like he's very good at bringing people together. He's very good at like assembling very talented people, but I don't think that I wonder if he's ever like yelled at somebody because not because they were late, but because they weren't giving him what he wanted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
We're getting into movie talk now, but it's sort of like Paul Feig. Like, Paul Feig directed a lot of episodes of The Office. And we all remember The Office as being as great as it is because of that. And he was a performer himself, so he understands delivery and understands, like, actors bouncing off of each other and trying stuff.
Absolutely.
And then he gets into the motion picture sphere, and it's totally hit or miss because it's not like TV. And when you see interviews with him, he just seems... He's got to act like he's excited. I mean, he's proud of this movie he put together, but everything is like, well, we didn't know, so we just gave it to this. Or it's like, oh, we just thought we'd try this. And if you don't think that the movie came off well, then I think you have a pretty good idea of why that might be.
Yes.
Now, I'm just riffing here. Like, you could come back and tell me that J.J. Abrams wrote The Journal of the Wills too. He knew exactly what he wanted to do with Star Wars, but every single time that I see an interview with him or hear him talk about something, he just seems like a guy who's like, we got to get this movie made, get it made, get it made, get it made. He's a showman, a businessman. He's going to get these things made.
Do you
in the vein or in the style of the old Hollywood filmmakers? It's like, just get it up there. You've got Orson Welles being like, no, we have to do this, and we're going to need 6 months for this. And then you've got Daryl Zanuck or whoever is just come on, make the picture, make it.
Do you think his next Star Wars film is going to be a remake of a previous film?
This is why I'm really looking forward to Rise of the Skywalker, because he's trapped now. He can't get away.
Right.
There's no mysteries.
Yeah.
There's no starting something and giving it off to somebody else.
Right.
He has to end this trilogy, and it'll be the first time that we pin him down, and he's going to have to say something. He's going to have to bring it all home, and it's tough.
Yeah.
He's living it on hard mode here because it is so beloved, and it's supposed to bring really like the entire nonology to a close. He is not the man to do that, and I want to see what happens. Not because I want to see a train wreck. It's really because I believe in him, but I think that as a creator, he's gotten used to getting away. His whole thing is the mystery box. Like, let the audience do the work. He's going to have to do the work.
Yeah, like he starts
and
things, but he doesn't finish them.
Yeah, and I want to see him do something great. But it remains to be seen whether he will.
Okay. Well, we'll have to circle back.
Yeah.
Later.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Because we've got other things to talk about.
That's right.
What?
Why
isn't it the San Francisco Comic-Con? That's what I want to know.
Good question.
Get that shot of the Golden Gate Bridge?
Right.
You built Starfleet Academy right by the Golden Gate Bridge.
I know.
Is Starfleet Academy built on the ruins of Skywalker Ranch? That's what I need to know. It sure looks like it.
It kind of does.
It's like we wouldn't even know we were in San Francisco unless the bridge was right there.
Right, exactly.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about San Diego,
Yes.
about 800 miles south of there. San Diego Comic-Con has come and gone, and a lot of things happened. We've talked about the comic book and movie side of that on our show, Just Enough Trope.
That's right.
You can tune in to that to hear about all the Marvel announcements and movie announcements and that sort of thing. But this was what do they call it? Enter the Star Trek Universe
Right.
was the name of the initiative. And the way that fans entered the Star Trek universe was through 3 panels. A panel about the Lower Deck series that's coming out, a panel about the future of Star Trek Discovery, and of course, a panel about Star Trek Picard.
Yes.
They showed a trailer at the panel, which is available on YouTube. I recommend highly that you go check it out. It was very revealing about what we'll be looking for or looking at in the new series. It will be a serialized series. I think that was assumed, but it's been confirmed. Of 10 episodes. And thoughts? You saw the trailer.
I'm really excited about it. I mean, the teaser was exciting too, but I'm even more excited about this trailer that we saw. We saw Data, we saw 7 of 9, you know, and we see a lot of Picard walking around. And I think one thing that they talked about is that they want, you know, he is older, and you do see that he has aged, and you know they don't want to like emphasize that necessarily, but they're not like pretending like he's Superman, which I think is which is good.
Something that it reminded me of, just going off of that, was it felt very similar to All Good Things to me.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
That he's trying to get some people together to solve a problem.
Yes.
So he's got to assemble a ragtag crew.
Yes.
People don't really believe him necessarily, or it seems like there are people who are trying to tell him, don't worry about it. And also, he doesn't have a rank anymore.
Right.
So they're not following him out of duty, the chain of command. Yes. It's just the respect that they hold him in.
Yes, exactly.
All of things that were, you know, I mean, we don't know if he's got aromatic syndrome or not, but those are all things that were part of All Good Things.
Absolutely. I'm also excited because we found out that Troy and Riker are going to be back as well. So I'm excited to hear about that. But there's a lot of like new characters in the series too.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about the big pops for all the returning characters. But I was just thinking about the fact that as I was watching it, there are a lot of people that we don't know.
Yes.
We don't have any idea who these people are. We've never seen them before unless somebody is Geordi LaForge's kid or something like that.
Right.
And that's probably the most exciting thing to me. I know that you have to put Brent Spiner in there. You have to put Jerry Ryan in there.
I know.
In what some sites are calling the first crossover between TNG and Voyager. And I'm like, look, we all hate Nemesis, but we don't hate it that much, right? You know, those Janeway talked to Picard.
Yeah.
Saw that happen.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, but what I'm most excited about is like, who are these nobodies? Because 30 years ago, a bunch of nobodies far pointed their way into our hearts. So I'm hoping that these are going to be like the new people that, you know, in another 30 years we look back and go, oh, thank God we got to meet pointy-eared guy.
Right.
Or other pointy-eared guy. Or a girl with cut on her head.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by the bits of story that we saw.
Yeah, it appears that Romulans have captured a Borg cube or something like that.
Right.
And they're doing like weird experiments. We see a scene that looks like an autopsy type situation. And, you know, of course, 7 of 9 is involved.
Right.
People are speculating that the girl has some connection possibly to the Borg or something like that. Of course, we didn't mention that Jonathan Del Arco, the guy that played Hugh, in TNG, is back.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's not in the trailer that I could see unless he's the guy on the table.
I hope not.
As the one Borg with individuality, do they cut him open to see how they can make other Borg like him?
Oh, boy. I don't know.
Ring, ring. What? That show I did 30 years ago? Oh, they want me to play a corpse? Great.
That would suck. I hope that's not true. I read somewhere that him and Jerry Ryan were actually together when they heard about the possibility.
I guess they're buds. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I guess. And apparently he is very claustrophobic. So he was kind of anxious about the idea of putting on the Borg makeup again. And she was like basically like, oh, honey, I'll hold your hand. I'll drive you there or something like that. You know, like, like, let's do this. I'll support you however I can.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
People talk about how like, oh my God, Patrick Stewart. It's where's the portrait in the attic? Where's the time machine? He hasn't aged a day.
He looks pretty good.
Look at Jerry Ryan.
I know.
Yeah,
she looks
it's
good
a little
too.
less years, but wow, these actors.
I know.
That's why I like Rutger Hauer.
Oh,
Guys, too soon.
yes,
Literally too soon in the show.
I know.
Yeah, guys had a face like a baseball glove. You know what I mean?
I know.
But yeah, we'll get to that later. So anyway, yes, the panel was huge. It had all the creators of the show: Kirsten Beyer, Akiva Goldsman, Kurtzman was there, of course. Michael Chabon, Heather Caden, who is on all these panels, and it's like she's really like she's like Kurtzman's producing partner. She plays a huge role here, but I don't think that she has any creative input. But she's on all the panels, so whatever. she's just that person that I only ever see at San Diego Comic-Con. That's why I know what she looks like. Right. And of course, Stewart was there, and the new cast, some of whom I'm going to get wrong here, so I'm going to do my best. But we know that Issa Briones is there, Michelle Hurd, Alison Pill, who got to talk a little bit about her character. This is the scene that we see where they open the drawer, which is very reminiscent of the drawers that we've seen on TNG. Whenever it's the Data parts drawer.
Yes.
Open up your Data action figure, Data unboxing video, and we see a Data-like figure. That's her character. She's a researcher, and that's all that she can say, I guess. So I can assume that perhaps she's a researcher into artificial beings,
intelligence,
and or at least Soong type androids. Harry Treadaway was there, Santiago Cabrera, and even Evagora was there as well. So, and then they brought in Mr. Brent Spiner and Jerry Ryan, and of course Jonathan Del Arco.
Very exciting. I know that Patrick Stewart has had some experience in the writer's room with us too.
Yes.
Like he's doing his input in the writer's room. So, I mean, that's cool.
Get ready for a dune buggy.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I hope not. I hope it's like more awesome than detracting.
Well, this is a optimistic show.
Yes.
Because it is enterprising individuals and it's Star Trek.
Yes.
If you want to hear us bang on it, go over to Just Enough Trope.
Fair enough.
The knives come out.
All right.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I think that we're in good hands for that reason. He told a very touching story at the panel about filming one of the last scenes on Just Enough Trope, that's our show, on All Good Things, 3 words, and with Frakes.
Okay,
and talking about how he could barely get through the scene because he was so emotional. And that was 30 years ago, or 23 years ago. And he was telling that story at the panel and was getting choked up.
Wow.
Just the emotions involved in coming back to this character, coming back to the character of Riker, who will be on the show. In what capacity? We don't know.
Right.
I believe at the end of Nemesis, he was basically taking command of the Titan to go act as a liaison to Romulus, who was getting ready to sort of make peace with the Federation. So he'll be involved in the destruction of Romulus and the impact of that.
And didn't him and Troy get married?
Yeah, and Troy will presumably be there as well for that reason. So yeah, that's all very interesting. I'm really interested to know what Jerry Ryan's connection is, because I think people think that she will be part of the crew somehow or be hanging around. And I'm like, so you have to kind of know Voyager, but they get back, she is deborged, and like more human now, but still like Picard himself has a connection to the Borg.
Yes.
So what if she's like spearheading this research team of Romulans and maybe Federation or Starfleet intelligence people who are picking apart Borg? And what if she's kind of a bad guy? What if she's kind of an antagonist?
Well, I think that would be a very interesting choice to take. And maybe that would be kind of hard for us to swallow, like one of the good guys being kind of a bad guy. But I think it would be good TV.
That's a weird way to pronounce cool.
It would be cool.
I love that Marina Sirtis too has said somewhere else that she's been lying, for months about
whether or not she's going to be in this.
Yeah, like when.
Well, how could you? You can't say anything.
No, and the stories that Ryan told, about it was like over a year ago.
Yes.
She learned about this,
Yes.
so that means that at Destination Star Trek, when she was crabbing about like not being called out for the Picard thing, she knew.
Yeah,
She totally knew.
yeah.
Acting. No, but the really great actors are the really great actors are Michael Dorn and Gates McFadden, who are on the other side of her and didn't get a call. So
Well, right.
they're like, yeah, I don't know.
I know. Wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you feel bad if you were like one of the characters from TNG who like didn't get a call? I just like what is that like? Your talk with your manager, like, how does that go? And like, what do they say? Like, oh, maybe next season or something like that, or like, I mean, are they dead? Like, why are they not involved at all?
I don't know. Actors are used to that. Oh, good job. Oh, that's so great. You're going to be so good in that. I'm going to go scream into a pillow. Spider had said that he is playing Data. People speculated that he'd be reprising the role of B4, but B4 is in the drawer. B-drawer.
Yeah.
And he is playing Data.
Huh.
So we don't know how he's coming back. Here's my theory. It's a popular one. It's not real.
Okay.
It is a holodeck simulation or a dream or something. And I
see.
believe in the trailer he calls him captain. And he is not a captain. He
That's
was
true.
An admiral and an ambassador. So
Right. So that would fit
Yeah.
then. Okay. Like, why would you think that, like...
maybe he goes and plays chess. He has a Data chess program. And Data's like,
Aw.
are you getting your franchises mixed up, Captain?
Does Data have cats in the...
I didn't hear any meowing in that scene.
Okay.
You know who has cats?
Who?
Lower Decks!
All right.
The Lower Decks panel was led by executive producer Mike McMahon. This is, of course, the show that will be on No, it's not the Nickelodeon show. Yeah, I'll just shut up.
It's all good.
It is an animated show. We found out it's set in 2380. It's 1 year after the events of the hated Star Trek Nemesis. And it's also about the time that Voyager comes back from the Delta Quadrant.
Okay.
And so it will be set on a new ship called the USS Cerritos, which does sound like a Mexican snack.
It does.
But that's okay. It's one of the, quote, least important ships in Starfleet. It's a support vessel.
Does Cerritos mean anything? Do you know?
No prize for whoever can tell us.
Okay.
And it is going to focus, McMahon said, on the B stories. He talked about all the great things that happened in TNG episodes. He's, of course, a big TNG guy. But then, I think he said like Data and Geordi are writing a play and they're fighting about it or something like that.
Right.
He wants to focus on those stories.
Right.
The Odo's bucket stories.
Yes, exactly. I think we got to see some of the people talk about their characters like a little bit.
Yes.
And
yes. The series will focus on... Just stick with me. I'm going to read a press release here, but I'm going to make it fun.
All right.
The series is going to focus on 4 characters. They are all ensigns. Beckett Mariner, who is a no-nonsense go-getter. Brad Broimler, a by-the-book ensign who gets in his own way. Classic Broimler. Tendi, a huge Starfleet fan who is excited to serve on the ship. Tendi, okay?
Yeah,
and then
right.
Rutherford, an engineer who has trouble problem-solving. And I've always wanted to see an engineer who's bad at their job.
I think that would be
How
actually
many
kind of
miracle
exciting.
workers have we had to deal with here?
All of them have been miracle workers, like every single one of them.
Yes.
Like Geordi, B'Elanna.
I think Trip is the closest we got.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. I just want to see, like, they were kind of doing a thing in Into Darkness when Chekhov became the engineer. He was that engineer who's like getting it done, but like didn't know how he did it exactly. And he'd be like, Chekhov, I need this and that. He's like, okay, Captain. I don't know. Hit that button, I guess. And it just all works out. Although he had to fly a brewery, though. That's a lot different thing.
I think it would be kind of interesting just to see people who are not totally good at their jobs, because I think not only...
I think that's what we're going to get.
Okay, good. Because, that's a lot of what Trek is like people who are,
people being bad at their jobs?
No, they're good at their jobs. And I guess we want to see people excel, but I think that's what I'm really the most excited about this Lower Deck series is we're going to see those other characters that we don't get to see very often. And it's, it's going to be funny. It's going to be more adult, even though it's like a cartoon.
Well, presumably the Upper Decks people know what they're doing. We've got 4 characters that have been announced there. Lieutenant Shax, Captain Freeman, Commander Ransom, and Dr. Ta'ana Gilliam, who is a Katian.
What is a Katian?
A Katian are the cat aliens.
Okay.
Seen in, the animated series, but isn't there one in, like, Star Trek 4 at the trial of Captain Kirk or something like that?
Oh, I think that there might be.
There's like a
they have to have like all these
Thundercats looking guy.
Yeah.
It was like we walked out of the Star Wars cantina or something
right,
like that.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, yeah. That show will premiere next year.
Okay, well.
Looking forward to it?
Yes, I am. I am looking forward to it.
I wonder how far are we positive on this show? I wonder how far we can go with it.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Like, how R-rated can we make
on a scale
that?
of 1 to Robot Chicken, how tired is this going to get? Because Robot Chicken, very tired.
Yeah.
VT, very tired.
Yeah.
And, Rick and Morty, itself, we talked about remix culture is, oh, look, now we're doing Mad Max. Rick literally announces what they're doing at the beginning of, of most episodes.
Yeah.
Now, it's Star Trek. You've got 50 years of stuff to dig through. But, and I don't want to be overly reductive of a show that I've got a show based on, but a lot of Star Trek is Captain's Log. What's that? It's trying to kill us. Oh, it's just trying to help us.
Right.
We're friends. The end.
Yeah.
Odo's bucket jokes, you got a lot of those, but how thin is it going to get?
Yeah. It could get pretty thin. It could get kind of dicey.
It's getting kind of dicey.
But I'm hoping that'll just make the show more interesting. Like just pushing the envelope and seeing what they can get away with.
Because you already have on the show, like, Molly's an adult now.
Oh my God.
No,
I
she's
know.
not. Like, we've already got, like, straight-faced time resets.
Yes.
Now you're going to have cause and effect, but it's not serious. It's funny. And then we get Kelsey Grammer involved because he's a great voice actor too. And then he's like running around to the ship. Like, could you twist the Trek premises and find the comedy in? Okay, I'm talking myself into this show.
Okay.
But I still think there's a real potential for it to be like, okay.
How soon before you think we get into time travel?
Immediately. First episode.
Oh, okay.
First episode.
All right.
For sure. We were talking about Paul Feig before. We'll
Yes.
just come back and give him a little plug or a little boost. Other Space.
I liked Other Space.
Other Space was,
lot.
an example of taking those clear sci-fi, Star Trek specifically tropes, and then trying to, work out what's the funny version of this.
Right.
So you've got it's like the one character who's like essentially human, but a different kind of alien race, and everything about him is gross. Like he's got like like glands, just complaining about all his weird body functions.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's kind of Zoidbergy, but still.
Yeah.
And then you got the episode where the two characters get beamed down to the planet where time moves differently, so they're trapped there for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And they just go feral, and then the ship is like, okay, and then beams them back, and like it's been 5 minutes for them, but they're like, ah. Yeah, you can do stuff like that.
Yeah, you could do a
Rick
lot
and Morty,
of fun.
basically.
Yeah,
it's Rick and Morty.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Do you think it's gonna have too much of a difficult time trying to be different from Rick and Morty? Or
I think everybody's trying to be Rick and Morty, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's probably the way to
Get that
go.
lightning in the bottle.
White lightning in a bottle, because Rick drinks a lot. We got some more short Trek news from the con as well. We knew that 6 were coming. We knew that 2 of them would be animated, but now we have some more details. One of these short treks will be a Picard series prequel of sorts.
Yes.
One will be a story involving Tribbles, which is very interesting. And 3 of them will involve the Pike Enterprise crew.
Yes.
So is this it? Is this so you guys want that? Pike Enterprise show, huh?
Yeah, maybe
What
this
about
is
this?
the backdoor pilot.
Maybe these streaming figures are high, and then we'll see what we can do.
I would not be surprised if that were the case.
Kurtzman basically said as much at a panel. Somebody from the audience asked whether there would be a Pike Enterprise show, and he's like, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Which is like, all right, come on.
I know, right? The Tribble one, like what we saw from it is like they're gonna be eating them.
Or they're eating themselves. Like somebody's getting like assaulted by tribbles and being like torn apart or whatever.
Huh.
So, Now here's the big question that I need to know. That's the live action.
Yes,
We've already seen footage from at least 2 of the Pike ones. We've seen the it's Spock's first day one, and we've seen the you're under arrest, Captain Pike one.
Yeah.
So does this mean that one of the Pike ones will be animated, or does it mean the Picard one will be animated, or is there another mystery one that we don't know about? And I'll just tell you the titles. We do know the titles right now.
Okay.
Infer what you can. Ask Not, Children of Mars, The Girl Who Made the Stars, The Trouble with Edward, Ephraim and Dot, and Q&A.
Yeah, I can't defer anything from those titles. Like,
Well, you're deferring a decision because you can't
I guess.
infer anything.
I would not be surprised if like one of the Pike ones was animated, or I guess I'd be a little surprised if like one of the Picard one was animated, because they have the cast and crew already together. So why not just film something?
Yeah, but he's a big movie star. So that's an add-on.
I know.
So getting him for, 10 minutes of voiceover, that could be like a whole nother, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Or, I guess he'd do the voiceover. Getting him in the flesh might be, I don't know.
I guess I just would be surprised if it was animated.
Apparently the Captain Pike story will involve the USS Bowman, which is an interesting reference to the Vanguard novel, Reap the Whirlwind by David Mack.
Oh, okay.
That the USS Bowman is in. I don't know if that's what they meant to do, or if this is just like a Star Trek Destiny. Oh, what? You have a whole trilogy of novels called Destiny? Oh, weird. Crazy.
Yeah, like, which is it?
Or if it's connected to the fact that David Mack is a consultant for some stuff.
Yeah.
We know he's a consultant on Lower Decks,
Yes.
and then something else.
Yeah. That is a good question, and I guess that would be a nice nod if that's what they're intending to do.
It's probably not.
You think they just came up with it and it's like the same?
It's probably not. It's probably a reference to Rob Bowman, the director, longtime TV director.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Which makes more sense. Rob Bowman, yeah. So anyway, let's talk about our last piece of news. Last but not least, the Star Trek Discovery panel, which itself was a victory lap of sorts, I think.
I think so.
Discovery has definitely earned its stripes at this point. And Sonequa Martin Green was there, of course. Also, Alex Kurtzman, Michelle Paradise, the new showrunners of Season 3. Mm-hmm. And Heather Caden. She's just there.
She's always there.
She's just there.
Yeah.
Not answering questions. But anyway, yeah. It's been confirmed that the Discovery will be in 1,000 years in the future. That's where they were going.
We pretty much knew that.
But I guess we didn't see them get there.
Yeah.
But they do end up there. But they don't necessarily make it to where they want to go.
Oh,
It's been hinted that they will not arrive immediately at Terrelysium, the planet of safe refuge that they're supposed to go to.
Right.
And this is why I reported about the Sonia Zone story before. Because hopefully everything works out as far as that goes.
Yes.
That would kind of complicate things if they chose not to bring her back.
I would hate if they chose not to bring her back, because I love that she plays Michael's mom, and I think she's such an interesting character in herself, and that she's been traveling to and from the future like this entire time.
Shuttling.
Yeah.
New York to DC.
Right. I just think that's fascinating, and I also think that's tragic, and she was happy and sad to see Michael, and
yeah.
I kind of want to see where that relationship goes.
That's what happens in Discovery.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, moving on from this, that's hopefully we'll get everything worked out with that, and she'll be back on the show. We were also introduced to a new character in some screenshots, a character called Cleveland Booker, a.k.a. Book, played by David Ayala, who is actually been in a fair amount of movies.
Oh, really?
You probably know him from, well, people might know him from Night Flyers, also from the series Falling Water, which I think was on USA.
Okay.
And
heard of that.
Yeah, and he was on Supergirl. He played Manchester Black on Supergirl.
Okay.
Which, I'm all for colorblind casting.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester Black, a British person, not African, British African in the books, comic books. His name is Manchester Black, though.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Cast a black guy.
Okay.
Right guy for the role. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, I mean, now somebody makes a joke about that, right?
Well,
that somebody's me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, moving on.
So do you think obviously he's going to be a character they meet in the future.
Yes.
Right.
No, he's a stowaway.
Right.
He's been there since season 1. He finished the last of the fortune cookies, and he's forced to leave his hidey hole to find more. Oh, and then, what?
What's the name of the guy who was in the short trek Calypso?
Kraft.
Do you think
The answer is yes.
we will see Kraft?
He just making these little eyes see things and just making connections. He's also played by a black actor.
Well, yeah.
Who knows if that's a thing? But they both. I'm doing a Dark City thing here. They both have very utilitarian short names or nicknames.
That's true.
Kraft, Book,
Yeah.
Hand. Now we're doing Dark City. Do you know what I mean? I think that this means that they are connected, that they're from the same society,
Okay.
or they're from the same team or federation or whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely think that they are connected in some way.
Okay.
Although, what I wonder is Aldous Hodge going to show up? Was he not available?
Right.
If we're trying to connect these things, wouldn't they just run into Aldous Hodge?
One would think.
Yeah.
But how into the future was that?
I don't, as
Discovery
Dave Galanter, I don't know. He thinks it's 2,000 years.
I know.
I maintain that it has to be 1,000 years.
Right. But where is the crew of the Discovery?
Ask him if he likes the old Fred Astaire movies.
Do you think the answer is no?
Well, if the answer is yes,
Oh, okay.
then it was supposed to be
Okay.
Kraft. No,
All
I
right.
don't know. So, I mean, that's all we really know. They've been really tight-lipped about the details. We do know that the show itself won't come back until late 2020.
Oh, okay. I guess that's not terribly surprising. I heard that they've already been shooting.
Yes.
And that they are shooting at a lot of different locations around the globe.
They went to like Greenland or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, for those great hills and rocks and
Yes, exactly.
vistas. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I'm excited to see what we're going to see next from the Discovery.
I'm excited to see how we cover it.
Well, right?
Because get ready for Star Trek Picardage. Somebody call Ella.
Yeah, no kidding.
Tell her about that. So that is interesting. What did we learn from all this? I've got something. Do you have something?
What did we learn?
Spring this on you.
We learned that you can bring back a beloved character and people will still be super excited about it.
They'll freak out.
Yeah.
Poor Jonathan Del Arco. I mean, I'm sure he's going to do a great job. I'm sure he's done plenty of things in the intervening years, but they brought him out first because I think they didn't want him to be overshadowed by
probably
by
not.
Stewart and the other people. And don't worry about it, because people will be so hyped when Patrick Stewart comes out. Then you bring Hugh the Borg out, and people are still cheering. Instead, it was like, oh yeah, all right, and then like Patrick Stewart. But yeah, he'll he's there. We got a lot of people there. Having him is interesting. Having 7 of 9 is revolutionary, because that means that people keep calling this a TNG sequel. It's not. It's a 90s Star Trek sequel.
Right.
This opens the door to so many things, and a few things that are glaring in their absence. Where's Sisko?
Well,
I know we did that thing in the documentary. That was fun, and I don't think those guys got paid, so that's not what's going to happen. We're not using that. There is no Emmett Till. Like, that's unless we make some kind of deal. So, where's Sisko? It's been 25 years.
I know.
Where is did he ever come back?
You would think he would have come
Jake
back.
is almost 50 now. Don't tell me that real life is more depressing than The Visitor. At least they got to...
Yeah.
He got to visit him every once in a while.
Right.
This means that he's just been gone for 25 years.
I know. It's mind-blowingly depressing.
I can't accept that.
I know.
So maybe not the first time out. You know, we got a lot to deal with. But if we are going to continue to tell the future of the future, we got to get back to some of this stuff.
Yeah. And
when did Janeway get thrown out of Starfleet?
Right. Exactly.
She would have done something. Don't you think? She would have taken some stand.
Oh, yeah. Something.
They would have been like,
unpopular.
I knew we gave this woman too much power.
But then she would have found
That
some
sounded
way
terrible.
to get back
I'm talking
into the
about
graces,
the
right?
institutional sexism that's in Starfleet, which keep listening for a future show.
But don't you think she would have done something that would have gotten
I
back?
want Star Trek Janeway.
Yeah. I want to see where she is now, too.
We kind of got that with Endgame, but like, did she ever? What happened to Mike,
Max,
Cliff?
Max. Isn't that his name? Max? Is it
know.
Max or is it Mark? It's
Mark.
something M.A. I don't know.
What happened to MMA?
Yeah, right?
Where's Tsukatse? Get the rock out here. What about her dog?
That
dog's
the
dead.
dog is long
That dog's
gone.
dead. Speaking of dogs, the dog's name is number one. Let me clear this up for you. The dog actor's name is De Niro.
Right.
I've heard that reported differently in different places. But
Okay. Yeah. Don't get it twisted, baby doll. It's De Niro.
Should we tell our shore leave story before we go?
Yes, we should.
Baby doll. We went to shore leave 41 in Maryland,
Yes.
in Hunt Valley, Maryland,
Yes.
Cockeysville.
Yes.
Never been. Heard a lot about it. Many of the authors who have been on this show are regulars there. It is a sci-fi con, but it began, of course, shore leave as a Star Trek con.
Yes.
And its heart will always be there. And so it is a place for Star Trek actors and personalities, authors to come, talk about the franchise. And I'd have to imagine that, up until a couple years ago, it was probably a sedate affair.
Well,
it was
right.
probably, hey,
Before Discovery
tell me
came
about
back.
that new book. You got a new book?
Right, exactly.
And now it's kind of excited.
It's pretty hopping.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a little hopping. It's pumped up now. And we were lucky to be a part of that when we were there. Scott Pearson is an author who's been on the show.
Yes.
Who's written Star Trek books. It lives near us.
Yes.
And so he and his daughter Ella, my co-host on Generations. Nope, not yet.
That's it.
I'm going to take it someday. Co-host on Star Trek Discoverage were there as well. And so they were kind of like our sort of way into this.
They were
because
like...
It was a lot of... There are ambassadors.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There were a lot of personalities that, I've been talking to for years through electrons, but I've never met in the flesh. And so that was great. We got to go to a lot of great panels.
Yes.
We got to meet a lot of people that we didn't know, who our audience might know in the future because they're going to be on this show. And so just fantastic. And so, whirlwind decision. We decided,
Yes.
hey, let's just try this out. For the first time ever, it wasn't on July 4th when Convergence was, so we were able to do it. And so glad that we went.
It was just a really great decision.
Yeah.
And we had a
Got to
blast
piss off Aaron
there.
Ashmore. No, just kidding.
We had a lot of fun. It was really cool, like you said, getting to meet people that you knew the voice, but then you got to meet them in the flesh.
We were kind of busy, and I don't usually meet famous people.
Yes.
It's not very interesting for me. I'm not trying to get down on the entire process of meeting people that you actors or famous people. I don't know, I feel weird when I do it, and I don't really like to do it. You're just
do you think that's
hey, I
with
really like when you did the thing.
because of your background?
No, it's my insecurity is what it is. But I really wish that I had talked to John Glover, who I've enjoyed in everything that he's done.
Yes.
Specifically Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
He plays.
And
I wanted to ask him about how he feels about his character of Daniel Clamp in the new century that we're living in, where Daniel Clamp is president now. And if he ever thinks about that.
well, that would have been interesting to ask him.
Be like, what, the greatest supervillain that you've ever played.
Right.
No, not Lex Luthor's father. Daniel Clamp.
Well, he was most recently in Shazam as well. He played
Guy-
his name? Dad.
Guy who falls out a window.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so he's still working.
Yeah, he is.
He's like
he's a busy
72.
guy.
He looks great.
Yeah.
Everybody does. There's a bunch of people there from shows that I don't watch. But I respect them.
Truth.
But you always know when you're walking through the halls, it's like, oh, here's an actor. It's just like,
right.
Here's just a gorgeous person, who's walking around
Who
and
sparkles.
trying to look, wearing like sweatpants, but like really expensive sweatpants.
Yeah,
and it's like,
like
all right, you're the
Lululemon
karate
or
guy
something.
from Dark Matter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Lululemon. I don't think he's wearing Lululemon, but yeah. So there was a Supergirl reunion of sorts because there was a bunch of actors from Supergirl who were there.
Yes.
There was a guy from Veronica Mars there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Aaron Ashmore. I want to get him on the show.
That'd be cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then there were Star Trek people there, of course.
Yes.
Nichelle Nichols was there as part of her kind of farewell tour,
Mm-hmm.
doing cons this year. And then Anson Mount and Ethan Peck from Star Trek Discovery were there as well. We got to see them do a Q&A panel. They actually did 2 Q&A panels, which is nice of them. And it was a fun experience. It's a fan-run show.
It is.
I think I would probably take a fan-run show over any slick corporate show.
I would agree with you.
But the thing about a slick corporate show is
It's
things
slick.
start on time.
Yes.
And even though the questions are incredibly vapid, and oftentimes you get a morning radio DJ who's never watched the show that this person was on, at least it has a flow to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little more chitty chitty bang bang. A little stop and start.
Laid back.
What's exactly happening here?
Yeah.
But if you have a good attitude, it all comes off. And with Elan in style.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, the mics weren't working.
Yes.
These probably 35-year-old wireless mics weren't getting the job done for the audience questions. And so Anson Mount is a hands-on captain. He's a hands-on man. So he just got up from his director's chair and just ran out into the audience.
Which was so great.
And started taking questions. And then, of course, Ethan Peck's not going to be outdone. So so he did the same thing. Yeah. And the audience loved it.
It was kind of nice to see that healthy competitiveness between the two of them and them rivaling like, oh, no, I'm going to do it this time. And it was a lot of fun. I think it added to the atmosphere of the overall panel. And it was really cool because to me, it just kind of meant that they were kind of down to earth.
Yeah.
They weren't too full of themselves to be like, well, you know what? I'm going to walk out and give this mic to this person.
They were so personable. And I don't know, maybe it's my just, being a stag myself, an alpha male. Maybe you can just smell the pheromones. But I did feel like I sensed a little friendly competition between them.
Yes.
And some of the stories that they told, on the set is like, oh, I was doing this. So he's like, well, if he's doing that, I got to do this. But in a fun way.
Yes. And Anson told his story about how he got cast because they were both asked, how did you learn you were cast? What's the story? And he's like, well, Ethan's story is way better than mine. So I'm going to tell mine first.
Yeah. So we got some great pictures from that event and they're on our Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Enterprising Individuals or EIST Pod on Instagram to find those. And yeah, that was great. Saw some great panels. We went to a couple panels about the Modifius Star Trek game.
Yes.
That were hosted by Jim Johnson, guest on the show, who is sort of the line editor and sort of in charge of production and a lot of the different supplements and things they've got coming out for that. That was great. It was just a really great experience. And to top it all off, there's this tradition where every Saturday, the authors that we're talking about here, this group of authors, kind of takes over the hotel bar.
Mm-hmm.
Posts up in the corner, holding court.
Right.
Chewing the fat, getting that experience that I'm sure none of us, myself included, ever had in high school, where you're at the cool table. We're going to make this the cool table.
Exactly.
That's right. You can't sit here. We wear pink on Wednesdays.
We're going to talk about Trek, and it's cool.
Yes. Cool Trek. And so the Pearsons sort of got us into that, which was nice. And at around like 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the bar, we were talking to Ella, who was there, very excited. She was having the time of her life. And I remember looking over the bar and seeing Anson Mount standing at the bar like he's in a cologne commercial. He's got a utility, like a khaki shirt on, and he's got a great, nice watch, and he's got like one elbow up on the bar, and he's kind of flagging the bartender down. There's some smoky whiskeys coming that way, right? And right next to him, because it's a Star Trek convention, was a 6.5 foot tall guy in a Judge Q costume.
It
was
the
whole
fantastic
thing, necklace,
Yes.
Guinan hat.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about Guinan's hats, but Q did it first. That's why they're fighting. That's why they're fighting later on with the claws. And I was thinking like, oh boy, I kind of want to watch this to see him shoo this guy away. But the guy stayed, and they talked for like a half an hour.
He was really nice about it.
So I was watching Captain Pike talk to Judge Q, and I was like, I'd watch this episode. And I really wanted to get a picture of it.
Yes.
But it's part of the thing with the famous people is I don't want to take a picture of somebody when like they don't know they're having their picture taken. I'm not a paparazzi. That's not the deal that he made when he decided to be like an acting god. And so I thought, I don't know, maybe I'll try to snag one tomorrow. Don't worry about it. And he was still there at the bar, and I turned around to Ella, and Ella said, I'm going to talk to him. And I said, well, okay, I mean, it's your funeral. Like, if you want to, go for it. What are you going to say? She's like, I'm going to ask him to come over. It's like, okay, I think he probably just wants to eat his club sandwich, and drink his whiskey, but fine. So she goes over there, emboldened by youth and vodka tonic.
Yes.
And I guess the gist of it was she told him, hey, don't mean to bother you, but, over in the corner is like, 8 to 10 Star Trek authors. They've written some of the Discovery books.
Right.
The guy that wrote the Enterprise War, your book is over there. If you get a chance, come by. It would knock them out and make their night.
Yes.
And he was like, okay, yeah, we'll see. She comes back. She's like, I'm just glad I did it. I'm just glad I did it.
Right.
She comes back to the fold. We're hanging out for another half an hour or so. To my right, a khaki blur comes by and the rich smell of sandalwood. And it's Anson Mount. And he comes over to the table. He goes by everybody. He comes right up to Greg Cox, basically, and Scott Pearson, David Max there. And he's like, hello, how are you doing this evening? And he just starts talking to everybody. And he was there for like 45 minutes. And the weird thing is that like he told us that he is writing Star Trek sci-fi stories himself.
Yes.
During this panel he had talked about, he showed a surprisingly like deep knowledge of like sci-fi. He's a sci-fi fan. And he's like, I've been writing these stories and I wondered, like, you guys must know like where I can bring this stuff. And everybody immediately points right at Greg Cox.
Yes.
Who is a editor for Tor.
Yes.
And could get him published. I mean, this would be a get. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Greg is like, who's normally very, chill, is like fumbling all over himself because this is happening. And he didn't bring any cards or anything like that.
Right.
Like, this is just the author chill out, hangout night.
Exactly.
And so he's like fumbling it with his, like, while he's trying to get a receipt, like a CVS receipt out that he can tear up and like write his information down. So anyway, that worked out eventually. They talked some more about that. Ella told him about her podcast, Generations Geek.
Yes.
She told him about my podcast, Enterprising Individuals, and gave him my card.
Yes, which is super exciting.
She shook his hand, spoke with him a little bit.
Yes.
And when you shake that guy's hand, he's looking in your eyes.
Yeah, he is.
It's Captain Pike.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of people don't look the way they look on screen because they're made up or whatever. But you look in that man's eyes, you shake his hand, you are talking to Captain Pike.
It's
uncanny.
unreal.
Yeah. He is a presence. So that was great. Shook his hand, said goodnight. He took off. He thought, nothing's going to top that. It's going to be a story we tell forever. Ella's looking over my shoulder. She's like, Ethan Peck's over there. I'm going to go talk to him. I'm like, here we go.
I know.
Here we go again.
I know.
And she does it. She goes over there and she brings Ethan Peck back. And now Ethan Peck is standing around talking to everybody.
Yes.
We have pictures of all of this on our Instagram, hanging out with us. And he stayed for like 3 hours. Like, he shut the bar down.
Yeah.
And he was like posted up in the corner. He was talking to Dave Galanter, who has written he wrote a Spock novel himself.
Yes.
Called Crisis of Consciousness, which you should check out. It's very good. And so they were talking about stuff. Ethan got his phone out and he was showing us like videos from the set.
That was so cool.
Like when he was getting his costume pieces and stuff put on. Like, he showed us this video like the video displays that they had like on the suit, you know, all the
Yes.
detailing and stuff like that, like the LED displays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's supposed to show us that, but he was. And it was crazy. Like he was so, at one point, somebody who was not like affiliated with us, didn't know us, came up out of the blue and just said, "Hi, I know, sorry to bug you. No, it's an imposition, but we have a friend. He's been coming to this for a while. He's a fan, and he has mobility issues.
Right.
And he can't get around the con really well. He's outside. It would mean the world to him if you would talk to him. I know it's weird, but just think about it." And he's like, "Hold my drink." Goes out there. He spent like a half an hour out there.
Yeah, he did.
And then he came back.
I know.
And took his whiskey back.
Right.
And Ella hadn't drinking the entire thing.
Oh, God.
Just some of it. And just stuck around. And
Yeah.
like Dave Galanter is teaching him dirty sign language.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just weird. Just an uncanny experience.
It was a surreal night, but it was like so fantastic. It was like, and everybody else kept saying too that like this never happens.
Yeah.
You know, like often the actors will be in the bar, and of course the authors will be in the bar, but they won't interact at all. So I think, I don't know.
And I'm trying to think of who that would have been.
Right.
Not to shade anyone, but like I could see Brent Spiner making it an early night. But if
Right.
Aaron Eisenberg was there, he would have been all over the place. He would have been
Right?
he would have been there the whole
He just would have
time.
been super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was totally great. And
They were just
my favorite
so
part,
cool, you
my
know?
favorite part of the night was we were talking to Ethan about playing Spock, and every time I've heard him talk about playing Spock, it's always very reverent.
Yes.
You know, this is a guy whose grandfather is Gregory Peck.
I know.
He understands iconic roles. He understands legacy. Spock is the Atticus Finch of Trek.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, right.
So he gets that. And so when you interview him, like he was on Mount's podcast talking about the process of becoming Spock, how he met with the family.
Like Nimoy's family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he met with Adam Nimoy, and he got their blessing and learned about him that way, about Leonard that way. He read I Am Not Spock, Leonard's biography. And he also at one point stopped. He put it down and said, "Okay, I think I understand the man. Now I'm going to bring me.
Yeah, my
the half
take on
that
it.
is me
Yeah,
to it."
exactly.
You know, and so making a synthesis of that and just having so much reverence for it every single time. That's what he talks about. Like it was, you know, the most Herculean effort, you know,
Right.
Done spiritually and done well. And there's this possibility of a Pike show
Yes.
happening in the future. We don't know. He'd have to do it again. And so Dave asks him, so, you know, after all of this, do you think if you had to put the ears on, if you had to do it again, could you do it? And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll crush it. It's in me now." It's just like, it's like, yes, that's it. That's what I want to see. A 32-year-old actor who, you know, has cheekbones that could, you know, like Wolverine's claws.
I know, right?
Who is drinking a $200 bottle of whiskey. That's what I want to hear. Don't give me that crap about like, "Oh, I just really had to feel it." No, you could, come on. Yeah, I could do it. You see these guns? Come on.
I know.
I'm gonna
It's
crush
so
it.
great.
So yeah, the future's in good hands.
They were just, yeah. I'm so glad we went. I mean, we had a wonderful time besides that, but that was just like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
That like made our shore leave and apparently made a lot of other people's shore leaves too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's just a great con. You know, there's a lot of love there. It's well run. It's very chill. I also got to pick up the Enterprise War,
Yes.
which came out at the show, basically.
Yes, it did.
And talk to John Jackson Miller, who's been on the show, get him to sign the book. I'm really looking forward to reading that book. Dave Galanter announced, excuse me, at the show that he's writing the next Discovery novel, a novel called Dead Endless, which is set during the events of Star Trek Discovery, the show, which sounds fantastic.
Yes.
It was so great to meet Dave. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And it was great to meet Thad Haight.
yes.
Who it totally makes sense. I didn't put together, he lives like, an hour and a half away. He could drive
Right.
to this thing. I didn't know if he came, and we ran into him. I was like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, he was just super nice, very personable.
If people don't remember, host of the Delta Flyer podcast.
Yes.
Who's been on the show previously.
Yeah. he was just like super nice, really easy to talk to, and like having the time of his life. Like he dressed up. He had a couple of different outfits. He had one of the new Enterprise uniforms,
right?
As seen on Discovery, which was really cool. And I think he had a uniform from the Enterprise series as well. Yeah. So yeah, it was really nice meeting him.
Anson Mount has to know him by name by now because
you think so?
Yeah, they've run into each other a couple times.
Well, yeah, I suppose he did get his picture taken with him a couple of times. So yeah. But yeah, it's cool to meet a fellow chill podcaster.
I'm tired of meeting all these rabid, insane podcasters.
Right?
They're always nibbling at your legs and ankles. No, yeah, he was great. And hopefully we'll get him on the show again soon.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, Shore Leave, I'd recommend it for sure.
Absolutely.
I think they're probably already selling tickets for next year. And we'll have to look at maybe going again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, have to bring Ella with us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Ella. Yeah, Ella, you have to go talk to William Catt for me.
I know,
you gotta
right?
get him to come back here. See if we can make that work. Well, I think we made it work. Thanks for joining me to do another Trek News Roundup.
Absolutely.
Do we have a clever name for it? I can't remember.
We should have
a
one
dispatch,
at this point.
A subspace transmission.
Like I'm trying to think of something like circular that goes around, like a conveyor belt or something like that, but a more clever name.
Like at a sushi restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's just... So the news is just coming.
Yeah, it's
like
just
plates
coming.
of nigiri.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, or like the dessert boats on Legion.
Yes.
They have that restaurant.
Yes, they have the sushi type restaurant.
Yeah.
And
there's these little boats that go by with sundaes and things like that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, when we get a name for it, let me know so I can call it that. But in the meantime, where can people find you online?
You can find me at justenough.trope.com and Just Enough Trope on Facebook and Twitter.
What's coming up on Just Enough Trope?
Yes. A couple of months ago, we did a over of Paul Verhoeven. And we had so much fun with that. And we thought... The
American films of Paul Verhoeven, yeah.
We had so much fun of that, and we thought there's still quite a bit of films. So we wanted to do that again, but we also want to honor the great Rutger Hauer, who just recently passed. Yeah. So we thought, why not do a combination of the two? So we are going to be talking about a trio of films, Turkish Delight, Soldier of Orange, and Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood is the first American movie, I think, Verhoeven's first American movie.
That sounds right.
Yeah, coming from the Netherlands.
Right.
Both of them are Dutchmen.
Yes.
And they're flying, I gotta tell you. Flying to heaven too soon.
Yeah,
but,
he was only 75.
Yeah, although, like I said before, like every day 75? Of that 75, but he lived it right. So that sounds really exciting. You can find the show on iTunes and just places, good stuff
iTunes
and words,
and Stitcher
and Cookie
and all
Fire Engine.
the podcast
I'm
places.
coming apart, but thanks again for joining me.
Thanks for having me.